Welcome to the PAMU Podcast, your go-to neoliberal getaway.
Welcome to the PAMU Podcast.
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 Now, sit back and imagine you are in your designated cubicle, wasting your physical energy.
For the glory of the corporation.
For the glory of the corporation.
For the glory of the corporation.
For the glory of the corporation. Take a 5-minute lunch break and enjoy.
Welcome to the PAMU Podcast.
Hello! Welcome back to the PAMU Podcast, episode 3. My name is Vlad. I am joined again by Lance. And this week I am joined by Nestor, finally. And a very special guest, Zach. How's it going, guys?
Hello.
Hey!
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's going good.
Yeah? That's good.
Right here.
Do you guys, Nestor and Lance has introduced himself last episode. Nestor and Zach, do you guys want to introduce yourself in that order?
Oh, sure. What am I supposed to say? That I am analytic verb on PAMU.
Yes.
And I am the only analytic in, like, a fucking world of Contis. God damn it. Like, this is fucking
the only
ridiculous.
Analytic Mexican as well.
Yeah.
Probably true, yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there's got to be analytic professors in Mexico City or, in some of the prestigious universities of Mexico.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, like, I had a few analytic professors. I just mean, like, probably I'm the only analytic Mexican in the, like, PAMU sphere.
Oh.
There's plenty of Latin Americans in Philbook. It's weird.
Oh, yeah, but are they analytic and are they Mexican? Yeah. I mean, I'm Mexican, but I'm not an analytic. And I'm not full Mexican either.
Actually, did you know that, like,
I know in the United States analytics are big, but what's it like in Mexico? Is there a better representation of, like, a diversity of philosophical schools? Because we seem to be wiped out with analytics.
Yeah, I think, like, in Mexico it's pretty spread out, honestly. Like, there's like...
Lucky.
Few analytics, a few Contis, like, some, like, Marxists. Well, I guess Marxists are Contis, but I don't know, Marxists are weird. Like, they're their own thing. Well, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, did you actually know that, like, Mexico City is the number 1 city in the PAMU audience?
No way!
Really?
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Mexico City, then.
Yeah, so...
Nuke Mexico
like,
City.
The number 1 country is obviously the United States, because it's, like, huge. Number 2 country is
UK.
The UK, yeah, and number 3 country is Mexico. But if you go by city, it's number 1 Mexico City, number 2 I think New York City, and then number 3 London.
Have you guys been fucking inviting your, like, extended family and stuff?
Fuck, man.
Yeah, of course. What do you think I do all the time?
All right, Zach, introduce your fucking self.
Oh, well, hi everybody. I'm Zach. I'm nobody important, talking about nothing that matters. But if it interests you, please, let me know or don't. I study stuff like C.S. Lewis and radical Christian liberation theology and charting the post-left space with religious sentiments in mind. And I'm kind of a big fan of left acceleration centered around democracy. So that's kind of my bag.
Wow.
Cool.
Zach, we're here to kill you on the live stream, or on the podcast. That was a poll answer, so...
Yeah, we've been ordered to do so.
Fortunately, we have to do that.
Hey, I will drink the hemlock, guys. It's okay.
Wow. Okay, should we start with the fucking topics?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Let's do
Okay.
that.
Number one, and it's top of the poll, is talk about 21st century predictions. So, what will happen in this century while we're still alive?
I have some good like meme predictions, and I have some legit predictions, and I think I'll go last because these might be fucking mind blowing.
Fine. Alright. But whatever you do, you have to just start with the legit predictions and then just like leave the meme predictions for like last. I don't know. I think we will find life in another planet. That's
Really?
Yeah.
In this century?
In this century, yeah. I mean, like, it might be just like fucking, microbes or whatever, but like, yeah, I think that'll happen.
You think in solar system or exosolar system?
Honestly, probably on Mars. Like,
but can they be converted to Christianity?
Is that because of the methane that they found?
Well, I mean, partly yeah, but also, I mean, like, Mars used to be a very terrestrial world, like way back, like
it had oceans on it.
Yeah, it had like oceans and rivers and shit. So like, I don't know. I would find it very, very like unlikely that there wasn't some form of life. And then like, bacteria can survive in like fucking wild environments. So like, I'm sure probably like a few bacteria survived like to this day. But even then, like, in the next like 10, 20 years, like, we're gonna have telescopes that are going to be able to just like look at the atmospheric composition of like extrasolar planets. So, and like, there's certain things about like a planet's atmosphere that can only literally be like produced by life. So, I mean, that doesn't mean we're going to know what kind of life that is, but like, at least we'll know that like something is like alive there.
Is that going to change anything though? Is that going to be like the solution to the Fermi paradox?
Well, maybe, I guess.
I don't think that the Fermi paradox scale, to be honest, if it's if it's just multicellular life.
Well, yeah, that's fair though, because like, I mean, to solve the Fermi paradox, you have to find like actual intelligent life.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, should I imagine like fucking like riots in like the Bible Belt because they found like alien life?
I was about to say, like, how would that work?
Yeah.
I think religious people have a marvelous capacity for adaptation. I highly doubt that finding alien life would set everyone off into the hills. There's always a Bible verse or a Torah verse or a verse in the Quran, a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, or any other dozen of texts that you can say, okay, well, we can accept believing in this now.
But would there be a bishop of Mars?
Fuck yeah.
Who would appoint them?
Well, actually, though, there was like, I forgot the name. You maybe know about this guy, Zach. Like, he was like a Christian, like, philosopher of like the 16th or 17th century.
Okay.
Basically believed like the universe was like full of planets with like aliens.
Is Scientology?
No. I don't remember his name. No, he was
L. Ron Hubbard.
Wait, am I talking about who?
Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard, the guy who thought that.
Oh, no. But like the guy that Sag was asking, like, Who did you say?
Oh, I thought. Well, it sounded not 15th or 16th century, but your description sounded like Mormonism for a second.
No, it's like, and like just actually like a Catholic like kind of friar or something.
Now, not off the top of my head, but I'm not trad gang. I came from a bunch of like free spiritual Pentecostals, and then just went even more to genre hopping, church edition. So I've kind of been outside the traditional power structure of the church.
Do you like a lot of Sam Kinison stand up?
I'm too boomer to know who that is.
Wow.
I don't even know who that is.
He was a Pentecostal priest before he became stand-up and died from cocaine overdose.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Oh!
He was the guy that, like, used to say... He was basically, like, the first edgelord, I think. Like, he used to, like, have his famous scream and shit.
Did he make 9/11 jokes?
I don't think
before 9/11 happened?
No, you make fun of a lot of Christians and gays, I think.
Oh, based.
And midgets.
YouTube atheists before YouTube.
And women.
Oh, based. Well, women aren't real, so...
No, they're not. Anyway, is there more, Nestor, do you have any more predictions that are, like, more down to earth?
No, like, who wants down-to-earth predictions? Like,
down to earth. There are aliens down to earth already in Area 51.
Yeah.
Oh, space is the place. Space is the place, guys. My big 21st century prediction that I'm almost sure will happen is that the space as an industry is going to be a big economic driver. You've seen that article that's come out with the Hayabusa that did that, sort of drive-by sampling of that stellar body, and then they're talking about potentially mining asteroids that come within, navigable reach of us. I think that, and then just the kind of industry you get in near-Earth orbit is going to be a big economic driver and cultural destabilizer because of the overlook effect. You have a bunch of people staring at the planet. It's going to change. I think it'll change people's minds about things.
Right, but like the question is it gonna be? Is it really gonna be like this century's? Like, is there enough like private incentive to do that?
Well, we're early in this century. I think we've got plenty of time by the end of the century's end to say that there's going to be a space, like a near-Earth space industry. I think that's a fair prediction.
Yeah, we can already theoretically do it. Like, we have the means to mine an asteroid and the incentive to do it. But the only reason we haven't is because everyone's afraid to, like, be the first one to take that first step. Because if it fucks up, then it's going to make them look bad.
It's a huge
and also,
investment.
it's like, yeah, it's a huge initial investment that no one wants to really make because no one knows how it's going to turn out. It's kind of like the Christopher Columbus crossing the New World. Like, everyone knew that it was theoretically possible, but no one wanted to do it because why would you need to? The investment and risk is too high. Someone's eventually going to do it, though.
Oh, of course. Someone has to. We don't go forward without space.
So is that your prediction, Zach?
You can go inward into the mind.
Well, that's why that's why Marianne Williamson is going to win.
Yeah.
We went into simulation.
What?
I don't know. Sometimes I think the mindfulness movement and all of the inner exploration movement also encouraged, the vast state of simulation that we encounter in dealing with other people today and the things that they believe in.
Wait.
Oh, fuck, guys! Just pause. I've been frantically Googling, and I finally found this guy. It's Giordano Bruno. He was like a
Oh, I know that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of him.
He was like a Christian, like Italian something philosopher, whatever, of the like 16th century. So yeah. Anyway, just like slight detour because like I finally found the guy. But yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Wait, so hold up. Like, Zach, can you explain the simulation thing? Zach?
Hey! Sorry it cut out. What happened?
Can you explain the simulation thing that you were talking about?
Oh, in the context of what we were talking about, as regards to simulation, I want to reframe it, and I want to say that the inwardness movement, the spiritualist movement, and I'm a fan of Alan Watts, and I'm a Christian and a Buddhist as well, a student of Zen Buddhism, certainly.
Wow.
There seems to be a generated force out of that, of people who drop out of that and drop into kind of like a corporate mindfulness Buddhism that turns more into a productivity Buddhism and a commodity Buddhism. And that seems to be writ large in other spiritual movements. There's a corporate version of every spiritual movement that's really about maximizing your labor and minimizing your suffering. And I think that is based on simulation. That kind of corporate Buddhism is based on simulation. That's what I meant when I was talking about simulated beliefs, because it doesn't come from the same place as quote unquote real Buddhism. That's my hot take.
I mean, that's why there's so many like huge meditation apps, right? Like Headspace.
Oh yeah.
I mean, which is really to fucking like improve productivity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like that's like what meditation is like marketed as. It's like if you do this, then you will improve your productivity because like you will be in a better place in your head. So like, yeah. But anyway,
do you think they'll like eventually like ban meditation at work, just like they banned like just like the yeah, exactly. Just how like special interest is pushing for like a ban on like smoking in public areas, because it has to be special interest. Do you think the meditation one?
Oh, I would. It's much more likely that big corporate America would provide you like a federally recognized observation period in which you could meditate or pray or what have you. That's way more likely than for them to ban like meditation at work. I just don't see that happening in current corporate.
Actually, I'm with Zach here. Like that sounds. Actually, like to be honest, I'm kind of surprised they haven't like done it yet.
But like the thing is like with smoking, it's like kind of the same thing. Is that it's wasting like time, effect that goes into productivity. Wouldn't like meditation and like religion do that?
But the thing is, like, I feel like smoking like just started being bad PR, whereas like meditation will be like, it will be like the ultimate woke neo-lib, like corporate, like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm just trying to think in the sense that like how special corporate special interests of pushing for a smoking ban in public areas.
Yeah, I just think that's like for the PR, to be honest. Like,
yeah, but like, why would it be bad PR?
No. Just like pushing for like banning smoking on public places just like makes you like sound woke.
Right. Okay, so it's like the health thing again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas like meditation is like, oh no, that's like healthy. Then we're for meditation. Like we're such a good employer that like we give you like 15 minutes of like meditation or prayer or whatever.
Wow. That's
corporate sponsored meditation or prayer app included with your employment package. if you're lucky enough to be an employee and not a contractor, then we'll see if your religious observation hours are in your negotiated contract.
Cut in half.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
That's
Right? One set of rights for employees and a different set of rights for contractors. And that's another ethical field I think we'll see a lot of coming out of, if we're going to talk about neoliberal corporate culture.
I mean, you're implying that there will be any permanent employees left. And it's not just going to be contractors.
I feel like there's almost no permanent employees left, to be honest.
But government, though, there's government that will always need permanent employees, like permanent professionals who will be employed by governments and like corporations that serve governments. Though, yeah, I mean, Zach, you should know this as well. Like, yeah,
it will be a very small number.
Well, I mean, there's always going to be like administrators and bureaucrats, and even like down to the simple like paper worker, or even like, you know, like soldiers or shit like that. They're all paid almost permanent employees of the government, at least until they retire or decide to quit. They're not contractors. Like, the government does hire contractors for shit, and they're different than employees.
Oh, right. But having worked in that world, I can tell you that overwhelmingly government consists of private-public options and private-public partnerships that include the contract model. And in that model, an incredible, astounding, a newsworthy amount of work is done by private contractors who are just filling a government contract. Everything from who stores and retrieves from storage your birth records, to who administers the government side of the Affordable Care Act, for example. So I think, and that's an area where governments would love to cut spending. And so I think automation is really going to hit the government sector, the public sector, because it's a win-win in representative democracies. They can phone home and say, hey guys, look how much less government employees we have now. We don't have to pay for them. Look at all the money we saved. So I'm bearish on the future of government employees and automation without proper automation regulation.
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay, wait, guys. Like, we're already like at 20 minutes. So
whatever the model is.
Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. What's
No,
our
I was
next?
just Well, we're missing still like Lance's meme mind-blowing predictions. So like,
let's get the meme predictions.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? I'll let you guys kind of choose or try and figure out which one is real and which one isn't. I think that'll make it more creative. You want to go with that?
All right. Yeah.
I'm game.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. First, number one prediction: Poland becomes not only just a regional power, but a borderline global power.
Yes.
To challenge both the United States, European Union, and Russia.
Yes. Yes.
Poland.
100%.
Poland.
Slavic
Poland.
Union.
Okay. Okay, you following me?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
with their whole Russian decline and the whole collapse of the EU, Turkey is going to follow a similar path, you know?
As Poland.
As Poland, they're going to become a borderline superpower, more than just a regional power.
No, this is the same prediction, right? Like we're still.
These are similar predictions. So they're kind of tied together, but yeah, we're going to see Turkey become more and more nationalistic and more belligerent to NATO, and we potentially might see a conflict between either the European Union, NATO, or the United States against Turkey that's becoming increasingly more nationalistic and more Turkic nationalistic as well.
I don't really see that happening.
Islamic Turkey, do you think?
Wait, but like, what's the other prediction?
Okay, other prediction.
If I got it correctly, like we have to like, you're gonna give us two predictions, and we have to guess which one is like a real prediction. And
no, I have several predictions,
okay.
my guy.
Oh, all right.
Next prediction. Kanye West becomes so successful in the music industry and is so emboldened by the Trump presidential successes that he decides to run for president for real this time. And in 2018 becomes president of the United States.
In 20 what?
2018. Or can I say
no, it would be like
28.
Yeah.
The fuck? Okay.
2028.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, in the year 20,000 he becomes president.
Machine Kanye arrives in the future.
Yeah. That too, but that's in a whole different century.
You know, I've been seeing Kanye like going more and more into the mega church route recently, because he has like a little church meeting like once a month, doesn't he? Where he gets like some gospel singers singing like his songs, and like his audience is getting like bigger and bigger. So I don't know if it's like a fucking like fad that he's going through right now, but like he's either gonna like run for president for real or like start a mega church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
right?
like he's definitely running for president. I don't know if he'll win, but he's definitely running for president. Like that's like almost like a given. About Poland and Turkey, like honestly, I don't think so. Like I know it's a hot take, but like I really don't think so.
With the geopolitical situation in the areas, I think that they lie within the best area, and also their regional situation. They stand the best to gain from the collapse of the EU and like the degradation of power of Russia.
No, but actually,
they would gain the most out of it.
That's what I was gonna say.
Not Turkey.
Turkey definitely would.
I would say Turkey more than Poland, because like I think that totally underestimates how much Poland benefits from the EU.
Yeah. But like either way, like Poland, like as a superpower, or at least like a regional power.
I'm
at least a regional power. I definitely agree with that, because like they have enough incentive to kind of like centralize big time. Well, Turkey, they're not gonna get. I mean, the just like the kind of like subversive like actions, like an influence from America is just not gonna allow them to.
That's why I say that they're going to come into conflict with NATO or the United States at an eventual point.
Right, but they don't stand a chance.
They don't. That's the thing.
What about China though, or shall we say Neo-China?
I mean, that was my prediction. My prediction is that there would be a second Cold War between America and China, but it would be more in line with like a productive mode, which is defined by like a 21st century socio-biological divide between the classes. So America would have like, you know, cybernetically augmented middle classes and the poor that cannot afford to get a job because no one wants a fucking, you know, pure human anymore. And then China, who is now starting to genetically engineer its own population. So it's going to be like this kind of like market like economic Cold War between the two, between which productive like mode works better.
See,
between
my
like
prediction
the
with
top
China,
down, yeah.
Oh, if you want to go ahead.
Oh, and I was just gonna say like the United States, like China is going to be like the state, like from the top down, just like engineering all the population, whereas like the US, it's going to be like the rich, like genetically augmenting themselves and just like creating like a total like basically like caste system where like the genetically augmented rich are like at the top, and then like the poor are just like, you know, puny humans.
Yeah, it's going to be a caste. It's going to be like cybernetically augmented rich people, the middle class, which is going to have an equivalent of like the student loan crisis because they're all gonna get loans for fucking cybernetics so they can get a job, and then the poor who are just completely left out from the economy and start their own like favelas.
I don't think the model that theory is based on is going to pan out long enough for that to come to fruition.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
What do you mean?
I don't
think it's sustainable.
Right. Several things, like, China and America being in a Cold War, that's a state of affairs that has never quite... I don't think the model applies to us. The Cold War relationship that America had with Russia isn't a good analog for the relationship with China. It's a much more nuanced relationship, although the Russian relationship was pretty nuanced, let's be honest. But with the Chinese,
yeah.
But they I think it goes without question that there's already some aggression and not just necessarily passive. It's much easier in this day and age to hurt somebody indirectly by supporting their enemies or by endorsing non-state actors than it ever is to have to oppose somebody directly. And you don't even have to do violence. You can just, turn off the power grid. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's more of an economic like Cold War because like the United States will have to rail into China's like productive like expansion into like Latin America and Africa.
Right.
So
I agree. I think you're commenting on the present. I think that's my hot take in return. I think you're right.
I guess I am. I'm
Okay. I have two more predictions. One, I'll go with the China one. My prediction is that, there will be a cold conflict with China, but I won't call it a war. Only because that the global markets are so intertwined that there can't be any serious conflict. And with that, I think that China would collapse, like the whole Chinese system would collapse far quicker than the United States one would.
Yeah.
So my prediction within this century, if there is a serious conflict between China and the United States economically, the Chinese system is going to collapse first, and we won't see a Chinese government the way that we see it today. Either it's going to split up between ethnic lines, like it finally should,
or liberalize,
like it has been doing, or it will liberalize, like the Soviet Union did, and it'll break up that way.
Its middle class is getting enormous, even though like they have a completely like cut off like informational sphere. I still think like as life quality improves, there's going to be big push for liberalization.
There will be. I feel like that's what's going to happen, and the current Chinese government is doing as much as it can to either circumvent that or resist it. But eventually it's going to become too much to bear, especially if conflict arises with the United States. They're going to press that very much more effectively and quicker than China can do the opposite with its relationship in the United States with like the lower class being treated unfairly by the top 1%. It's way more easy to divide and conquer someone between ethnic lines than it is along class lines. And China has massive ethnic problems.
Right.
So I believe that China is going to break up along ethnic lines and national lines, kind of like the Soviet Union did. Like we might see a new Manchurian state, we might see a more united Mongolia and East Turkestan, and we might see like two different Chinas, one in the south and one in the north. Because they're both culturally so different. Kind of like how Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia, they're all similar, but they're also culturally and nationally different. We might see that with China.
Right. So it's just going to be like North and South Korea all over again. One is going to be completely liberalized because China has a huge surplus of a budget that they're not spending on like internal affairs currently. So at some point they will be more likely to liberalize than expand militarily wise, or like a military expansion that would warrant some kind of cultural or national divide.
I think I'd frame it as cultural lines, not like hard ethnic lines. I think that delineation matters, just like in Russia, when people in the Russian USSR system, when people got moved around all throughout the USSR and intermarried over the period of that country's existence, that surely has happened to a degree in a country as populous and as well connected road-wise as China. So
didn't stop
I think there's been a lot of
collapsing though along ethnic lines, and I'm not going to say it's going to just break apart through mass like ethnic warfare. I'm going to say that it's going to break apart similar to the way that the whole Yeltsin and Gorbachev situation happened in Russia. Like, China is going to eventually be forced to liberalize, and nationalists are going to use that as an opportunity to gain power for themselves, and eventually China is going to not be what it currently is.
Right. But like,
it's already starting to happen with Manchu nationalists.
There's a big difference between China and the Soviet Union, is that the Soviet Union collapsed due to like a series of huge bureaucratic like incompetences. I don't know if China shares in that.
They do, to some extent. That's why there's such a huge crackdown on quote-unquote corrupt officials in the Chinese Communist Party, especially the upper echelons, and why they have to keep continuously purging people out.
Right.
But and it also has to do, like, China hasn't had the I guess you can say the Cold War that the Soviet Union had with the United States. They never had that extreme outside pressure that they had to put money into, because China never had an Eastern Bloc that they basically had to prop up with their own money.
Right.
But China might be trying to do that sort of thing that they're doing with the South China Sea, and trying to establish more influential relations in Africa and Latin America. They might try and create their own bloc, and with all that investments that they try and put into those nations, it's going to eventually take away from their own nation, and we might see a similar situation happen.
Right, because their development will stagnate eventually.
Yeah.
Right. Shall I make one last prediction before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah.
I think that with the advent of automation, there's going to be enormous amounts of centralization on a very like small scale. So it's going to be isolated like areas of enormous centralization, where it's like, like just unimaginable, like, I would call it like, tyranny, like state control, thanks to automation. So it's just going to be like, small nation states, like automated nation states, in a sense, in some areas. Yeah, basically. Kind of.
All right. Blade Runner future.
But like, not everywhere, I guess. That's the point. In small cases.
Wait, just like really quick to like get this topic over with. Like, let's just do like the kink shaming predictions for the 21st century.
Yeah, Nestor wants to move on to his kink shaming.
Yeah, that's
kinks.
No, actually, like, I want to move on to like the other topics because we're already at like 40 minutes almost.
Nestor's excited.
No, I'm saying that's like the next topic, kink shaming, right? That we're just going to incorporate into this one. So, kink shaming predictions for 21st century. Go. Cat girls, genetically engineered.
Oh shit! I was gonna say like that's already like a kink worthy of shaming, but like you mean like actually like
yeah.
Oh
like
shit!
Genetically engineered furries and cat girls and vampires.
I don't know if for the 21st century, but like yeah, probably.
Yeah, maybe like not like a huge amount, but there's just going to be like a really like.
Oh no!
Like a really loyal niche. I would
just
say.
Mean like I don't know if like in the 21st century we're going to have like the technology to have like cat girls.
Do you think?
Maybe 22nd century.
Okay. So what kind of kinks would you say that would happen in 21st century? Would arise new kinks, man?
I mean, I was gonna say like it's like close to that, but I was just gonna say like some cybernetic like shit, you know, like I don't know what exactly, honestly, but like I'm sure there will be like some overlap between like the transhumanist movement and like kink shit, obviously.
Yeah, we would still be calling it a kink at that point.
Yeah.
Not in this next century, which is just going to be normal.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else got any like kink shaming predictions for the 21st century?
I don't really have any predictions because I don't really know how to predict that. But I don't really even know what the original question was really implying because it was just a poll option that said kink shaming.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, it's a topic.
That's why we
It's a meme
incorporated it into
So do you not have any predictions for new kinks in the future?
No.
Wow.
It's really hard to predict social relations in the future.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the best we can do is talk about what's popular right now. We're only going to be commenting on the present if we do any projection on this. But if we're commenting on the present, women in power relations that lean towards their authority versus a male authority within the context of a heteronormative relationship, I think we're going to see that not just normalized, but we're going to see that gradually, completely normalized, like made vanilla. If we want to talk about,
I do have like a meme prediction, but I think it's like 100% going to come true. But just like body alterations, like not genetically engineered, just like, you know, surgery and whatnot, that will make like people look like anime characters.
Yeah.
Particularly like
I was
anime
about
girls.
to actually say that.
Yeah. That's definitely like a kink for the 21st century. Like, I mean, there's already like, you know, like the human Barbie and like the human Ken doll or whatever. But like,
Human
definitely,
Attack on
like-
Titan.
yeah.
What about trying to fuck an iceberg before it melts? And like fucking the earth, you know, for climate change.
Oh, I was like, wait, what's the point of this? But like, no, huh.
What
Yeah,
about
climate change.
What about having to fuck the last bumblebee on Earth?
Isn't that like what B movie is about?
Or
I
like,
never,
is that what it's about?
I don't know. I never watched B movie, but like, I don't know. I just know it's like
No, the movie isn't about that.
So Jerry Seinfeld is ahead of his time, man. He's really like the first like climate change like
He's
king.
Nostradamus.
He's Nostradamus. Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld, that's the guy from
Seinfeld.
from what do you call it?
From Seinfeld.
yeah.
Seinfeld.
What about fucking animal rights kink?
Now fuck them.
Oh, no,
Animals
like,
will have to die.
Free range chickens that like are like to be fucked, you know.
but like, I mean, I don't know. That's not 21st century. That's just like called being like Welsh or something, you know.
You're right. You're right. That's just PETA now.
I mean, like it's like PETA, but like PETA from like Wales or New Zealand, you know?
Like fucking sheep.
I do not endorse those. I do not endorse those comments. You're gonna get some New Zealanders. You're gonna garrote you.
Everyone from Wales likes to fuck sheep, is what Zach is saying.
Zach is on record saying that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Save that soundbite for later.
Okay.
This is why we are going to kill Zach for being a bigot and potentially racist.
Yeah, we have to kill. Well, but like, let's like discuss the last two topics
actually an
and then
anti-Welsh activist.
You admit it. Dude, I mean, like, fuck. I thought you were gonna be a bit more subtle about that.
Yeah, but no, he just like straight up. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, but like, let's just do the last two topics, and then like we can kill Zach.
All right, let's do it. So what's
All right.
We have like the best grand strategy game, and then like extremely online phenomenology.
Should we go for the best grand strategy game first?
Yeah, because that's like a
Minecraft.
shorter topic, I feel.
Let's hear it.
It's Minecraft.
Yeah, that's pretty
Minecraft.
grand.
Resource management strategy. I can see it.
That's a hot take, but like I guess I could see Minecraft being like a grand strategy game.
Fortnite as well. Fortnite, too.
It is pretty grand and strategy and a game.
Yeah, I mean,
I like playing as France in Fortnite.
France.
At least
I
until
like
you
it.
get the Lexington skin, right?
I like to drop in like the Bastille in Fortnite.
Oh man, I like to rescind the Treaty of Versailles in Minecraft.
Yeah, no, like
So yeah, that's our fucking answer. Fortnite.
Medieval 2 Total War Kingdoms was pretty good. As broken and as buggy as it was, with a little head cannon, little elbow grease. That was pretty fantastic.
is
Grand
Total War like grand strategy though?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Is it grand strategy or is it just Total War?
Yeah, I feel like Total War is just like Total War.
Yeah, man, Total War.
I feel like you're gatekeeping right now. Are you gatekeeping right now? I feel like you're gatekeeping right now.
I can't even gatekeep because like I'm not even like a huge like grand strategy like player, so I can't even gatekeep. But like no, I just feel like Total War
Hearts
is
of
like
Iron standard for grand strategy. Is that what we're like appealing to? Or
yeah,
Hearts
like,
of Iron is like the
Hearts of
generic one.
Iron, like Stellaris, like.
I'm definitely kind of like divided between Hearts of Iron and Stellaris, but I'm gonna go for Stellaris as the best.
I'm gonna say like okay. I'm gonna say it's Galactic Civilizations because like.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
No, look, because wait, like the point of like grand strategy is basically like like ruling your own empire, right? Right. So like, what could be like your own empire more than like one in which like you literally like create everything from scratch, like every like tiniest detail of like your own faction, like
Every atom.
yeah. I mean, like not every atom because it's not like Spore, but like
Do you make the porn
I mean,
of
I
your
guess you can.
civilization?
Yeah, you can probably make the porn of your civilization, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Minecraft won this round, guys.
No, I think Galactic Civilization.
I think
Because you can make the porn.
You
Yeah.
can make the porn, yeah.
I think Command and Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath Global Conquest mode is
Yes.
the true grand strategy game.
Just
I know
for that.
Zach loves that. Zach knows what I'm talking about.
I never played that series of games, but
Wow!
Never mind.
Zach,
Okay.
get
Yeah,
the
fuck you.
fuck out, dude.
Okay, how about this on Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2, the global conquest thing on that? You guys remember that?
Fuck yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
do.
yeah.
How's it called?
That shit sucked.
The
War of the Ring.
War of the Ring, yeah.
War of the Ring.
I missed that. Oh man.
What a game.
No, but in reality, my favorite grand strategy game is Victoria 2.
Ooh.
Especially without all the expansions, so I can play as light yellow Prussia on the map.
Like just like the expansions actually limit the colors that you can pick for.
Oh no! Victoria 2 is extremely broken without the expansions. Like the expansions make it a better game. So like saying Victoria 2 without the expansions, you're basically like playing with vomit. Like literally, like you know how Prussia is like traditionally this black-blue color, like Prussian blue, on any map or color. Yeah, for some reason, Paradox, like the intellectual Swedish people that they are, decided in base Victoria 2 to make the map of Prussia the color bright yellow. I don't know why.
All right.
Wow. I wish Stellaris had the politics of Victoria too, and the fucking court lifestyle of Crusader Kings. That would be fucking the best game. I would never leave my fucking basement.
Well, I guess I'm just total Assembly's trash. But as far as grand strategy goes, I guess my closest one would be Crusader Kings. But again, I've played everything in the Total War canon, so that's where I'm at with strategy games. I don't know about managing empires for 20 hours just to get the hidden achievement event. That's not my bag.
That's not why we play. That's not why games exist.
I played Victoria to colonize Africa.
I play Stellaris so I can conquer alien races and then feed them to my people.
Yeah. Like, I was just playing Age of Wonders, which is
strategy
actually
yeah.
another. And yeah, it's actually by the developers of Stellaris, and like the only reason I was playing it is because like I was like just reading the world of like goblins scum.
Goblins, pathetic scum.
There's a reference.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we move on to extremely online phenomenology?
Yeah.
So what do you guys have to say about that, eh? Have you really thought about this? Because I haven't.
What does that even mean?
It's like we're extremely online. So what is the nature of being?
Well, what is the nature of our being as people who are extremely online? How does being... Is it, something worthy of discussing, one?
Well, for...
What is...
Okay, I'll let you finish.
How is our phenomenology affected by being extremely online? And how do we define, the effects of being extremely online? I think those are some conversation starters.
I mean, like, there's obviously like a level into like everyone who is like extremely online can like, sort of identify of like, oh, like my in real life friends don't like get my like memes or whatever, or like or like, oh, like you're like your family sends you memes. Yeah, like your family sends you memes and you're just like, oh, like fucking like normie memes or what, But like,
yeah, Dad. I only watch Minion memes, Dad.
But like, I'm sure there's like more significant ways in which like being extremely online like fucks with your phenomenology. Like,
dude, I have no idea. Like, I only used to get online just to fucking play Halo 2. And that was my extent of being online back in the day. And then it evolved, and it descended into the chaos and horribleness of playing Halo 3 online.
Wow.
I mean,
and here I am today.
It's a clear timeline of what happened.
But did you play ODST online?
Yeah, I did. That was basically Halo 3, only every little kid who couldn't afford the map packs now had access to the map packs, so then they were all in matchmaking screeching, and I was a little bit upset at that.
I never actually even played ODST, like either online or offline. No, but the one thing I was gonna say is like, I think like being extremely online definitely like warps your like your idea of like what politics actually is.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
I mean, like,
I would also say that it like warps like the conception of your own like intelligence. to an extent, because when you're online, you have plenty of time to like answer comments, so you can fucking sound as smart as you want. But in real life, you're just a fucking mess.
I mean, but like, yeah, I guess.
Everybody listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you.
and everybody on the podcast.
Yeah, also
fuck
that.
you, Zach.
Yeah, I think that like the two things.
Hey, I'm on the podcast.
Actually, go together.
Do you agree, Zach? Though that like there's a huge difference between how you how you can talk like in real life to like how you can fucking write online.
Yes, but perhaps not in the same way that you do. My opinion is that the medium that we typically use to interact with, both the medium of a smartphone and or just the medium of the screen, is inherently limiting. It's dimensionally limiting. And we don't get enough data through to present a real conception of ourselves. And then when we see that conception of ourselves over time played out online, we're missing really critical parts of ourselves because it's presented in this very limited format. And I think that the big divide between online and offline speech, too, is that while there are all of those weird constraints on how our personality is expressed online, there's also all of these interesting, and you have to know them, you have to be conversant, but there's these cultures that are shared through this medium that require a lot of thought, and there you get a lot of time. Especially in forum posts like, in PAMU or wherever. So then I think there is forced development there as well. But I think it was like my post a while ago. I think that the big answer to solving that problem is augmented reality.
Wait, like what problem? Oh, like the amount of like data that you can transfer online as part of like your kind of like persona?
I'm saying the conceptual space is limited right now because of the physical dimensions of the medium that we're using. Yeah. And that if we can make AR the standard form of interaction for all of these communication technologies, I think that introduces more physical dimensions of presentation. So it's going to introduce more dimensions for nuance. So there's going to be less online-offline divide because you will have brought technology almost, if not quite, back to nature.
Unfortunately, that's like the one subject that I agree with Zach, so I don't have much to say about
Yeah,
this.
no, I was just gonna say, like, get the fuck out of here with like your sensible, reasonable, like.
No, fuck that. That's not.
So that's why.
The real solution is to make an ethno-state out of internet people.
Yes, out of left.
So we're gonna have a left book ethno-state.
I've said that before, like that, like once you like introduce subscription models into like Facebook groups on a larger scale, there's just going to be online like ethno states of left bookers.
No, I mean real ethno states.
Before.
What?
Did you guys watch there was a project back in like 2005? It was the Free State Project. A bunch of libertarians moved to New Hampshire. And then in that district. But ethno-state, I think, is just the meme label we're using. I don't think there's going to be any racial organization unless you're supplanting.
They become their own race by only intermixing with each other, though. They become their own ethnicity.
Yep.
See, like, we should just give land in, like, the middle of Australia to, like, some random Facebook group, and then let them run society as they see fit.
So, like, calling someone a left booker would be like a racial slur.
Yeah,
it's
also,
exactly what they always wanted.
Discourse.
It's what they always wanted, dude.
No, and also like related to this, and related to like what I was saying about like how it warps your politics. So like that time when I like made that post about like how these and that ideologies are like not valid, like that was basically the motivation. It's like there's literally like no one who isn't like extremely online that has any idea what the fuck is like, like anarcho-transhumanism.
Anarcho-fascism.
Yeah, like
Anarcho-anarchism.
Like,
Oh.
like if you're extremely online, you could like you just hear like some fucking like wild ideological labels, and you're just like, oh yeah, like of course, like you're like a third positionist, like ethno-nationalist, like anarchist, and it's like yeah, but like
I don't even think extremely online people give a shit what those people have to say, though. Like,
guys,
the super marginal political ideologies, they're out there. I mean, hello, listeners. But the amount of impact that they have, questionable at best, even in the meme sphere, because we have an inherent irony about these sorts of things. Like, we're aware of how silly it is to get super hyped up about a political ideology that only, 10,000 people or 100,000 people agree with.
No, yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it has, like, an impact, but, like, what I mean that it warps, like, your view of politics is that, like, I mean, even, like, something that sounds, like, as innocuous as, like, left communism, like, you hear left communism and you hear, like, yeah, that's, like, a normal, that's, like a natural ideology, but, like, if you tell someone who's not extremely online that like you're a left communist, they would be like, "What do you mean like left communist? Like obviously like communism is left
as opposed to right communism."
Yeah, like what even is right communism? Like
right. The literacy level is just way down.
Yeah,
right communism is just like Strasserism. Am I right, guys?
Wah, wah, wah,
Am I right, my fellow magapeds?
Non-extremely online people don't fucking matter anyway. Am I right, left bookers?
Yeah,
I got you. I got you.
Non-extremely online genocide one.
So basically, what you're saying is, for all those radical Marxist, Leninist, Maoist, Jucheists listening in, sorry. You're fucking dumb. Move to North Korea and die, or something. No one cares.
Should we end the podcast with that?
Oh.
Or do you have something edgier to say that we can end it in one?
Don't we have more that we were going to do?
We've been talking for like an hour, Lance.
Oh fuck, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, time flies fast when you're in left book.
Sure.
Or I summon Pot of Greed. And summon two additional gods.
Alright, that's good. So we can end it here.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me and the others. Lance, Nestor, Zach. It was great fun. Fuck all of y'all.
이글에네 락지하우 연니스에 으르티브히고테테누그제다윈야의 니즈나미오드나우다보츠 으안
Sagt wat wie mag bedocht en makkelijk.
Heeft zich bedacht om naar Paulus nog heel.
Sagt op de mafbedoest me gif.
Zeg nach de mafbedoest me geloof.
Ja, wat ik wil, is leuk. Zeg, dag, mag het, maar